See you
Great.
on
Well,
November
thanks so
7th.
much. It's good to have you here. Okay. Okay. Take care. Excellent. I can't wait to see you there.
Yes. Bye.
Okay. Okay. Take care.
See you on November 7th.
Excellent. I can't wait to see you there.
Yes. Bye.
Alrighty. Moving right along. What's this question? Hello, Mr. Crispin. In your opinion, do you believe that Alucard is evil? Define evil. And I mean that quite sincerely. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I guess it depends what you mean by evil. I don't think of Alucard as evil. Some people could, I guess, but evil is a hard thing to quantify sometimes. It's easy to call someone evil, but from their perspective, they don't think they're being evil. So it's a hard thing for me sometimes. And with Alucard, I think that's the whole point of him. He's sort of in that liminal space in between the two. So depends on what your definition of evil is. Let's go to something else. Let's see here. And now for something completely different. Let me see if I can find anyone who's in the call queue. No, that one's screening. Because we got lots of questions, but if someone's on a call, I don't want to leave them hanging. No, that doesn't look like it. All right, well, let me just tear through these then. What do we got here? Regarding your classes at the JVTA, not the JTVA, but JVTA, would you consider an online course? Yes, I would consider an online course, and hopefully, if this Vokle interface works out, this will be the way I will do it, is through the Vokle interface. That's part of why we're doing these, is to sort of test the system and see if it works the way we want it to. I will not be able to do voice acting to picture online. As you can see, there's too much lag, there's too much delay, and so there's no way we could match lip flap online. But we can do more straightforward voice acting classes, working on characters, working on your voices. That we can absolutely do online on the internet. But to do anything to picture, you sort of have to be in the room with me. But hopefully in the future, I definitely hope to have classes online. So hopefully that answers your question. Moving on to the next one. Will you be coming back to do Kyon in Haruhi Suzumiya 2? Kyon equals awesome. Yes, he does, doesn't he? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. As per usual, I have to wait for them to call me to come in for the show. So you will probably hear about it at the same time that I will. Case in point, at Anime Expo, I think it was on Friday, someone asked me, was I going to be coming back as Zelgadis in Slayers? I told them, I don't know, because I didn't. That night, I found out that they were going to have us back in Slayers, and they announced it the next day to all the fans. So one of the fans came up to me on Saturday, the day after, and said, "You lied to me. You knew and you didn't tell me." And I had to say, "No, I didn't know. I really didn't know the day before. I only found out when you guys found out. So you guys will find out probably when I do." Let's do the next one. In any show you've done, can you remember a scene that was extremely challenging? Yes. Obviously, those final episodes in Wolf's Rain were a bit of a challenge. Anytime I have to do a voice that's very rough or gravelly can be a challenge, like the Galactic Emperor and Photon. Alucard is definitely a challenge. Alucard is probably one of the hardest voices I have to do because he has to be sort of low and rumbly and velvety and sexy, and then he has to scream and rip people's heads off, and then he has to relax again. And that's hard for the voice to do. So Alucard is definitely one of the most challenging ones that I do. Oh, I think I have another call. Let's try it. Oh, excuse me.
I'm good.
Let's try this one.
There.
Nicole Lauderdale. It's still Lauderdale. It's good to see you, Lauderdale. How you doing?
Only when you say it.
I thought you just liked Lauderdale better.
I think you heard me mention this question before, but how is the experience of working
What's your question,
acting
Nicole?
on a professional level any different than doing local theater, high school theater, or any stuff like that?
Well, the main difference between doing acting on a professional level as opposed to doing local or high school theater is you get paid. That's really one of the great things is you get paid. Also, there's more expectation that you are reliable and professional, and that no one has to hold your hand, no one has to tell you what to do, that you come, you offer your artistry, you get paid for it, you go home, and they aren't concerned with anything else. Many times when you're doing high school theater, it's more of a learning experience. You're trying to learn something about yourself. You're probably expecting the director to help you at times. And I'm not saying that directors don't help you in the professional world, but they're not going to hold your hand. They expect you to come up and be able to go. It's sort of like if you were a musician and you were playing in a studio for a band or something. And on this track, they wanted someone to play the trumpet. They want you to come in, know how to play the trumpet, be able to play the trumpet well. They're going to give you the music. They want you to read the music quickly, go play that part in the trumpet, and go home. And that's it. They're not going to care about anything that happened to you or anything else. They want you to be as professional as a plumber, basically. When you come in, do the job, go home. So that's probably the biggest
totally.
the biggest difference that I would say is that they expect you to be a professional. Does that answer your question?
I'll be back. I'll be back.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Lauderdale. No. I'm sure you will. Let's try this question here. If one were to create a voice demo, what should it include as far as your talent? A voice demo should be no more than 60 seconds. It should be no more than 60 seconds, a bunch of different characters. The best way to look at voice demos is there's actually a website called, it used to be called voicebank.net. It is now called, I believe, videovoicebank.net. And if you go on there, you can do a search for voice actors' demos. You can listen to their demos. So you can listen to my demo. You can listen to Dan Castellaneta, who plays Homer Simpson. You can listen to Tom Kenny, who plays SpongeBob. You can listen to all their demos and get a sense of what different demos sound like. And hopefully that'll give you an idea of the sort of range and what to expect when putting on a demo. But you should include all the characters that you can do believably, that you can do well, that you can do competitively, that other people would pay you for. So hopefully that answers your question. But go to voicebank.net or videovoicebank.net and check out the demos there. That will certainly give you an idea. Let's go to the next one. What's this? Video voice isn't working. So, oh, I see. Your video or voice thing isn't working. How similar is White Knight to Escaflowne? I wouldn't say it's terribly similar at all because Escaflowne is basically a shoujo show. It's a girl's show, magical girl in a way, into another world. And White Knight, the main character, I believe, is the boy. So it's got a different slant to it. It's more of your classic Japanese RPG in a fantasy world. So yeah. Other than that, I don't know that much of the story because in video games I don't get to see that much. So that's sort of the challenge. That's that question I was answering about anime versus video game voice acting. I don't know all the story of White Knight Chronicles because I didn't get to see it. Let's go on to the next one. What do we got here? I'm a writer of fiction. Fantasy and romance are my specialty. Any tips for me? Yeah, actually, you should check out, if you haven't read it already, Orson Scott Card's book on writing sci-fi and fantasy. If you don't know who Orson Scott Card is, he's the gentleman who wrote Ender's Game, which is a really fantastic sci-fi book. And he wrote a whole series of books based on Ender's Game. And he wrote this really cool book about how to write science fiction and fantasy. And he sort of conceptualizes and thinks about the different ways that sci-fi and fantasy work as fiction. So I found his stuff very useful for helping to look at my stuff.